coffee did Eli drink?
None.
I believe. Whenever you're ready, I'm ready.
This one just takes a second.
It's so great, right?
Yeah. It's perfect. Well, so our next presenter is Stephanie Murray, and her title is What's Up with News in This Town? Evolution of the Ann Arbor News, and What's Next?
That's right. I'm Stephanie Murray. I'm the community director at AnnArbor.com, which is a new online media company we will be launching this summer after the Ann Arbor News closes. In just a few weeks, actually, July 20th is when we launch. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit tonight about the evolution of media in this city over the last 200 years, including the evolution of the Ann Arbor News, evolution. And when the Ann Arbor News closes and the new company launches, we'll talk a little bit about what's next, too. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Along with that, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how the model of news in cities like Ann Arbor is changing around the country right now to more of a natural state, more of an ecosystem. And this ecosystem slide is a fir oak tree. For anyone following our Twitter and the discussion about a fir oak and a fir oak acorn, that's the symbol of the city of Ann Arbor, that tree. So we are going through a period of major change right now in media around the world. Newspapers are struggling to make money. Advertising revenue is down. The methods of delivering journalism are changing now, probably more than they ever have before. We really are in the midst of quite a changing media landscape. However, no matter how tough it seems right now, especially for us in this industry, we should forget that this is actually really nothing new. Especially in the mid to late 1800s, newspapers really struggled, especially in this city and other cities our size across the country. And this is only a partial list of all the different newspapers that have existed here over the past 200 years. This was the first, the Western Emigrant. It started publishing in 1829 by Thomas Simpson. It was quickly taken over by John Allen, who was the founder of the city of Ann Arbor. The Signal of Liberty, which will come up in a second, was also another early newspaper. And so considering all the ownership, name changes, openings and closings of newspapers over the years, when you take a step back and look long-term historical view at media in this city, it makes the closing of the Ann Arbor News seem a little bit less catastrophic, although it's going to be tough when it happens. So I'll talk a little bit now about the evolution of the Ann Arbor News. When the news closes in just a few weeks, it will retain the title of being the longest-running newspaper in this city with the same name. The roots of the Ann Arbor News go back to the Michigan Argus, which was first published in 1835. That's this paper. It was the first Democratic paper in the city. It also struggled a lot financially and was actually sold at one point for $1 at an execution sale by a bank based in Detroit. John Allen, another founder, the same founder, was also involved in that newspaper too. Papers had 8 owners over its lifetime. It's changed names half a dozen times. Newhouse owns it now. They bought it from Booth in 1976, along with 7 other papers in the state for about $300 million. Also, evolution of the news is technology. When we first started publishing, we were using small metal letters that were stamped, and then we moved to linotype machines with hot lead. Everything today is done digitally, submitted electronically, right to the printing facility. The publication rate and the size of the newspaper also has changed quite a bit over its lifetime. We started with a weekly circulation in the hundreds to a daily with dozens of pages, lots of sections, and at one point circulation over 60,000. As I said before, this is not the first time that the Ann Arbor News specifically has had financial woes threaten its demise. In 1844, the Michigan Argus, you're wondering why there's a potato up there, the Michigan Argus actually asked its advertisers to please pay them in potatoes because there was no money coming in, and they needed to feed their families. And they actually posted this on the front page. If our subscribers and advertising patrons have any mercy on us, they will remember that it's impossible for us to live without we receive some remuneration for our labors. Kind of feel like that again today sometimes. This is one of my favorite cartoons, talking a little bit about the technological changes that we're going through. Right now we're hitting kind of a double whammy of the method of delivering journalism is changing at the same time that we're facing some heavy financial burdens too. So let's talk ecosystems. Media and technology scholar Stephen Johnson said at South by Southwest earlier this year that the new media landscape is a thriving jungle-like ecosystem. He talked about how the model of mainstream top-down assembly line journalism that kind of mirrors in some ways the rise and fall of industrialism is gone. And today, it's more of an ecosystem without one large tree overshadowing all the others. There's lots of those saplings. It's also more like a web. A web is made stronger, more connections, more strands that you have connecting in hubs makes the whole stronger. That's what this new company is going to do, AnnArbor.com, and I work for the company now, full disclosure, of course. But our goal is really to recognize that Ann Arbor is a growing ecosystem of news, and we're committed to being that hub to make the web stronger, to connect the local journalism that we're doing with other news and other information being produced by other people in the city and also around the world. Our business model has to be sustainable, though, and that's our challenge, to build something that, so we don't have to ask you to pay us in potatoes. It will be a really sad day when the Ann Arbor News closes, without a doubt. But I also believe it's going to be really exciting when this new site launches, and you get the first look at the new newspaper. And I think when we step back and look at it from a historical view 50 years from now, the closure of that newspaper and the launch of the new one is going to seem like something that had to happen. Thanks.